Wikipedia wik-ih-PEE-dee-ə or wik-ih is a multilingual free online encyclopedia written and maintained by a community of volunteers through open collaboration in a wiki-based editing system. Its editors are known as Wikipedians. Wikipedia is the largest and most read reference work in history. It is consistently one of the 10 most popular websites ranked by SimilarWeb and formerly Alexa. As of 2022, Wikipedia was ranked the 7th most popular site. It is hosted by the Wikimedia Foundation, an American non-profit organization funded mainly through donations. On January 15, 2001, Jimmy Wales and Larry Sanger launched Wikipedia. Sanger coined its name as a blend of wiki and encyclopedia. Wales was influenced by the spontaneous order ideas associated with Friedrich Hayek and the Austrian School of Economics after being exposed to these ideas by Austrian economist and Mises Institute senior fellow Mark Thornton. Initially available only in English, versions in other languages were quickly developed. Its combined editions comprise more than 59 million articles, attracting around 2 billion unique device visits per month and more than 17 million edits per month as of November 2020. In 2006, Time magazine stated that the policy of allowing anyone to edit had made Wikipedia the biggest encyclopedia in the world. Wikipedia has received praise for its enablement of the democratization of knowledge, extent of coverage, unique structure, culture, and reduced degree of commercial bias, but criticism for exhibiting systemic bias, particularly gender bias against women and alleged ideological bias. The reliability of Wikipedia was frequently criticized in the 2000s but has improved over time, as Wikipedia has been generally praised in the late 2010s and early 2020s. The website's coverage of controversial topics such as American politics and major events like the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russian invasion of Ukraine has received substantial media attention. It has been censored by world governments, ranging from specific pages to the entire site. In April 2018, Facebook and YouTube announced that they would help users detect fake news by suggesting fact-checking links to related Wikipedia articles. Articles on breaking news are often accessed as a source of frequently updated information about those events. Early life and education. Field was born on October 6, 1964 at the British Military Hospital in Hanover, Germany. His father Peter was a major in the British Army and his mother Ulrike was of German origin. Field was educated at the state-funded grammar school, reading school, and St Edmund Hall, Oxford, where he graduated with a BA degree in jurisprudence in 1987. He was secretary and national political officer of the Oxford University Conservative Association from 1985 to 1986, JCR president of St Edmund Hall in 1986, and he was also news editor of student newspaper Charwell while it was under the editorships of Christina Lamb and Anne McElvoy. During his student days, Field set up a publishing firm after spotting a gap in the market for careers handbooks in the legal profession. He completed his education at the College of Law at Chester, qualifying as a solicitor in 1990. Private career. Whilst an undergraduate at Oxford University, Field became a personal assistant to the Conservative MP for Oxford West and Abingdon, John Patton, before training as a solicitor and practicing as a corporate lawyer with Freshfields between 1990 and 1992. He then became a director of his own lawyer employment agency, Kelly Field Consulting from 1994 until 2001. The company employed a dozen staff and turned over almost £2 million PA. After being elected to Parliament, he sold his share of that business to a consortium headed by his ex-business partner. Field served as vice chairman of the Islington North Conservative Association between 1989 and 1991 and unsuccessfully stood as one of the Conservative Party candidates in the Quadrant ward in the Islington Council election in 1990. He was elected as a Conservative councillor for Abingdon Ward on Kensington and Chelsea London Borough Council in 1994, Standing down in 2002 after entering the House of Commons. He unsuccessfully contested the Conservative-held seat of Enfield North at the 1997 general election following the retirement of the sitting MP Tim Egger. 1997 was the year of Labour's parliamentary landslide, and he was defeated at that election by Labour's Joan Ryan by 6,822 votes. After leaving Parliament following the 2019 general election, Field was appointed as non-executive chairman of CIB Limited, a subsidiary of the Isle of Man-based investment bank Capital International Group in January 2020. Parliamentary career. In December 1999, Field was selected to contest the safe Conservative seat of the cities of London and Westminster following the retirement of former Northern Ireland Secretary Peter Brooke at the 2001 general election. Field won the seat with a majority of 4,499 and was returned to Parliament with an increased majority 3 times since. He was re-elected with a reduced majority at the 2017 general election. Field made his maiden speech in the House of Commons on June 27, 2001, when he declared his great political hero to be former Prime Minister Bonar Law. He was described by The Guardian as one of the most hardline right-wingers up for election in 2001 after comments he made in 1991 about charities fighting the AIDS epidemic were reported. Field criticized AIDS campaigns as a waste of taxpayers' money and wanted mandatory tests for AIDS. Many charitable trusts set up to help counter AIDS in the mid-1980s became little more than a gay rights front, he wrote in Crossbow in 1991. As a parliamentarian, Field, however, proved a strong supporter of equal rights. Within months of his election, in October 2001, he was one of 4 Tory MPs supporting a 10-minute rule bill on civil partnerships, a course he continued to support until it was on the statute books. He was also one of the Conservative MPs to vote in favour of gay marriage when this became law in May 2013. He was appointed an opposition whip by Ian Duncan Smith in 2003, becoming the Shadow Minister for London later that year. Between May and December 2005, he was Shadow Financial Secretary to Home Treasury. For 11 months, from late 2005 to late 2006, he was the Conservative Party's spokesman on culture, media, and sport under the new leadership of David Cameron in 2005. During his tenure he guided opposition policy on the National Lottery Act 2006 and promoted policy safeguarding lottery funds for its 4 original causes of the arts, heritage, charities, and sport. He also led opposition to Britain's public library service. In September 2010, Field was appointed by the Prime Minister to the Intelligence and Security Committee, chaired by former Foreign Secretary, Sir Malcolm Rifkind. He became the youngest MP on this committee, which reports directly to 10 Downing Street and oversees the UK's intelligence and security services. He takes a special interest in economic affairs, financial services, foreign trade, and international development, and is chairman of the All-Party Parliamentary Group on Venture Capital and Private Equity, as well as vice-chairman of the groups on football and Bangladesh. He previously served as chairman of the APPGs for Azerbaijan and Business Services. He has served on the standing committees of several pieces of legislation, including the Business Rates Supplements Act and the Finance Acts in 2008 and 2009. As a backbencher, Field introduced several high-profile debates on issues of local and national importance such as homelessness, Northern Ireland, government debt, Heathrow Airport, policing in London, social housing, home education, and population estimates. He has run local campaigns on business rates, St. Bartholomew's Hospital, assisting the creative industries, the control of rickshaws in the West End, social housing rent rises, the independence of the City of London Police and, in July 2011, successfully argued in Parliament for the Department of Culture, Media, and Sports continuing control of the royal parks. Field expressed criticism of the previous system governing MPs' second home allowances, the Daily Telegraph's investigation of MPs' expenses found Field to be among the lower-end claimants. He has been a supporter of looser rules on MPs' outside earnings and was quoted in 2001 as saying, "If you're earning several £100,000 a year in the city, are you going to give it up for £47,000 a year in the Commons?" In 2012, it was reported that the Independent Parliamentary Standards Authority had plans to reform MPs' pay, which could lead to them facing salary cuts for taking on second jobs. Field, who had earned £90,000 in the previous year through advisory work, called the proposals totally unacceptable, especially for MPs with London costs. In October 2011, Field voiced opposition to Occupy London protesters camped in his constituency. He expressed concern that their tent city was turning into a semi-permanent encampment which was disrupting St. Paul's, a key iconic tourist site and place of worship. He suggested that police should clear the camp at night and later said, "While no one expects anti-capitalism to be a 24-hour activity, I would have hoped the protesters would show a little more respect for the sanctity of St. Paul's." On February 28, 2012, after 137 days of occupation, Field's initial recommendation became reality following a court order when the site was cleared by the City of London Police in just 137 minutes. In March 2014, he launched Conservatives for Managed Migration in order to spark a calm and rational debate about migration both within and beyond the Conservative Party before the 2015 general election. Field asserted that the coalition government's pledge to get annual net migration down to the tens of thousands was undeliverable, risked potential harm to the economy and could ultimately be electorally damaging to the Conservative Party. In March 2015, Field was sworn into the Privy Council of the United Kingdom, thereafter being accorded the honorific prefix of the Right Honourable. In July 2015, Field was appointed Vice-Chairman of the Conservative Party under the leadership of David Cameron and was reappointed to the role by Theresa May. The role involves chairing the party's International and Outreach Office, which builds relationships with international sister parties on the centre-right, works with the Westminster Foundation for Democracy to enhance democratic institutions and political party structures in the developing world, acts as a link between the party and its MEP group through work with the Alliance of Conservatives and Reformists in Europe, and engages in political outreach work with diaspora communities in the UK. In 2016, he met Halbe Zijlstra, leader of the Dutch People's Party for Freedom and Democracy in the House of Representatives, who had made a series of controversial comments about immigrants and political correctness. It was argued that Field's role as vice-chairman of the Conservative Party also includes liaising with sister centre-right parties in Europe. Minister for Asia and Pacific. On June 13, 2017, he was appointed a Minister of State at the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. At the FCO his formal responsibilities included Asia, Australasia/Pacific, Communications, British Council, Economic Diplomacy, FCO Services Overseas and the Prosperity Fund. His work on climate change has included representing the UK government at December 2018's 24 Colombian pesos UN Climate Change Conference in Katowice, Poland, as well as the San Francisco Climate Summit and PIF in Nauru earlier that year. He promoted UK expertise across Asia in green finance, renewables, carbon capture utilization and storage, and electric vehicle technology. Assault allegation. On June 20, 2019, Greenpeace accused Field of assault, after an activist who interrupted Chancellor of the Exchequer Philip Hammond's Mansion House speech was grabbed by the neck, pinned against a wall and then pushed out of the event by Field. Field said he reacted instinctively and referred himself to the Cabinet Office for an investigation. He apologized to the activist for grabbing her and said he was worried she might have been armed. As a result of the incident, he was suspended as a minister on June 21, while investigations took place. The City of London Police reviewed the events and declared that it would be taking no further action because Field was a Member of Parliament. When Boris Johnson became Prime Minister in July 2019, Field was dropped from his ministerial role at the Foreign Office as part of a cabinet reshuffle. The Whitehall investigation was closed, as he felt that it was a matter for the previous PM concerning his conduct during his time as a minister under her appointment. In October 2019, he announced that he would stand down from Parliament at the next general election, citing disagreement with government policy over Brexit. A Cabinet Office investigation into the assault allegation, published in December 2019, concluded that he had breached the ministerial code but that he would not receive any sanction as Field was no longer in Parliament.